Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be ranking the new for future cards, the ones that are coming out in the next expansion, the next mini expansion, the next mini expansion, and then also the cards that are out currently, and I'm going to be comparing them all to each other. So let's actually just start with the Pokemon that are out now, and we're going to search just Iron because, well, Pokemon is not the most interesting with naming these Pokemon. But so first of all, we get ourselves Iron Moth, Iron Bundle, Iron Jugulus for single prizes. Iron Moth, Thermal Reactor. You can like move energy from it or from your other Pokemon to it. We're trying for 3, but honestly, it's not that good. And also, I'm going to be judging these based on how good they are in a vacuum, how good they are within the future type, and how much they assist the future type. If you're good, but you help the future cards out a lot, that's really nice. And then also, if you are only good in if you're like attack in a non-feature deck, you're not going to get too much benefit from that. That was more so for the ancient one. You can actually check out. I think it was yesterday's video where I talked about those. For example, Screamtail did not get a lot of. I don't think it's that good, and it got a low like rating on this because it's only good in like God of War, and essentially nothing else at all. Because in for that reason, that I ranked it low on the tier list. So, anyways, but Iron Moth is not particularly good. It is like usable, it is playable. I'll put it in C. I think yeah, C is fair. I could see it in D, but I think C is fine. It's a little obviously it's all subjective, but I think C is a pretty solid place for it. You could definitely get worse. Iron Bundle here is also, but it's still bad. It's still not very good. Iron Bundle. Actually, I might drop Iron Moth down to D. I'll keep it in C for now. This is loosely comparable to the ancient tier list, but not they're not exactly the same level. So anyway, Iron Bundle here. Its ability is like a force your opponent's action to the bench. Its attack stops evolution Pokemon. I thought this was going to be better than it was. As an attacker, it's not that good. Its ability is also not that good. So I think I'm also going to put in C. I personally think it is better than it sees play for, which is essentially none, but I still don't think it's like an amazing card, and it's a little lackluster in both its ability and its attack, but it's not bad. It could be good, but I'll leave it in C. Then Iron Jugulus, 2 attacks, Baryon Beam is interesting. It can do 154, and I guess it can do 150 for 5, which is bad, but 170 for 3 with a tool attached, which is pretty decent, but not like insane. And then you can do some spread, some pretty good spread. I'm gonna put this in B. I think it naturally has a lot of synergy with the future Pokemon, but at the same time, it also, um, it's a little awkward to set up. You need all these pieces, and I'm also gonna talk about these, as I said, how they are now and how they're going to be with the new cards with rotation, but also pre-rotation for the ones that are currently out, and also the one that's coming in the mini expansion. So it's pretty good. Um, well, it's good for like a single prizer. It's because a lot of single prizers are not good, but it's not like anything insane. I think B is pretty solid. You can play it in all sorts of different future decks as well. Although future decks aren't really a certain deck right now, they're more being splashed into different decks. But in the next expansion, the main expansion, Temporal Forces also, which is coming out with rotation, Future is going to be really good. I honestly think Future is okay right now. It's playable. No one really plays it, but I think you can play it in like Lost Zone. You can do a Future Lost Zone, and in the next set, I believe that will be, in my opinion, the best deck. Certainly up there. So yeah, I think B is pretty solid there. Then I'll talk about the EXs. That we have as well. Iron Hands and Iron Valiant. Oops, Iron Valiant. I do think Iron Valiant is better, but it's also it's more universal. But it's also its attack's not so useful. Iron Hands is useful for its attack. Iron Valiant is useful for its ability primarily, although its attack is usable. And as we'll talk about later, it will be potentially pretty decent, but it's 200 for 3, which isn't great. And then Iron Hands like takes extra prizes. Iron Valiant like spreads. Um, Neither of them get great value out of Future Booster Energy Capsule. Iron Hands doesn't really get any value out of it, and we'll talk about that in a second, but some damage buff. But then Iron Hands is good in other decks. More universal, Iron Valiant's good in less decks. I'm not sure if I can put they're A or S. I'm not, and I probably put them together. I'll put them in S. They're incredibly powerful, and they're good. I think they aren't like broken, but they're very good. I'm tempted to drop Iron, and I'm gonna drop Iron Hands down. It's much like it's more awkward to get value out of. Like there are a lot of games where you play it, you just get no value with it. There are times when you get a ton, but they're honestly not super common. Even in the matchups where you want it, it is for energy. And that's not easy to get set up. I mean, if you're building your deck around it fully, it is payable, but it's still not like that easy. Um, and if you're not building around it and it's just kind of like tossed in there. It's borderline impossible to attack with because it's as I said 4 energy, and your value is good, but it's honestly hard to get really good value out of it. It's still good. I mean, it's still a very good card. And then Iron Valiant was easy to get a lot of little value out of. Or get a lot of like small increments of value. I mean, it's small increments of damage, but you'll get those boosting up your damage numbers. And I think in the future, or I shouldn't say future, in the next set, it'll also get a big buff. Iron Hands gets a little bit of a buff, but I think more so Iron Valiant, and I'm going to factor that into play. And it has more synergy with future stuff. Iron Hands does not have the synergy with future stuff. I'm a big believer in Iron Valiant, or I just like it. I don't know if I'm a believer in it. I think as an attacker right now, it's bad. It's not unusable, but it's pretty bad. But in the next set, I keep saying in the future, but it's all future. Um, that in the next expansion and with like rotation, I think Iron Valiant is going to become really good. Yeah, I still think it is good now as well. I think like Iron Valiant is a pretty good deck. But anyways, very good card. Then moving on to the trainers, we see Techno Radar, which searches for future Pokemon. It's fine. I'll put it in B tier. The tiers aren't necessarily ordered. They'll be like loosely ordered, but more so the what tier they're in matters more. But yeah, Techno Radar is like fine. I mean, I guess it's good. Future decks aren't, as I said, really a thing right now, but you can run Techno Radar. In the future, it's gonna in the next expansion, it's gonna be like my next main expansion. It's gonna be pretty good, but not like amazing. It's a really like if it was just search for 2 Pokemon, just go to cover me, and obviously that'd be like broken. The future Pokemon have no like utility outside of, or like no like useful abilities outside of Iron Valiant, so generally just grabbing attackers. Oh, okay. Iron Crown also has a good ability, and abilities that aren't for like attacking, because Iron Jugular, okay, Iron Bundle does too, but like Iron Bundle's not that good. So you can in most long story short, it just searches Iron Valiant for now, and in the next expansion I'll search for Iron Crown. But then if you are using a future attacking focused deck, it is decent, but it's not insanely good because you are generally looking to obviously grab your attackers, but there are times when you want your engine stuff like Squawkabilly or Radiant Greninja if you're like a more basic focused deck, as well as a Lumineon V, and obviously you can't get any of those off of Techno Radar. So there are times when Techno Radar is just useless. But it still sees play right now, and I think it's going to get really good, or at least get pretty decent in next expansion. So I think B is pretty solid. Future Booster Energy Capsule, 20 more damage here. And then for a future Pokemon it's attached to, and it's a tool, and then also you get for your treat is really good. The future Pokemon honestly don't attack. Oh, well, okay, no, Iron Hands attacks. And Iron Hands and Iron Valiant are the main ones that see play right now. Iron Valiant doesn't really attack. You do get you get decent value. You get good value out of the free retreat. Um, Iron Hands doesn't need it. It doesn't have no value on Iron Hands. I mean, giving free retreat, going from 4 to 3 is like so good because obviously 4 retreats like impossible to retreat essentially, but it always gets stuck in the active. Like the decks do play switch and they can switch out of it, but it's a pain to get out of the active. Um, so I think it is worth running sometimes with Iron Hands, but the extra damage doesn't really like breakpoints are kind of a thing in Pokemon. Um, they're not a major thing. Like generally, you can find some use for even 10 extra damage and like any like pushing from like 220 to 230 matters 230 to 240, 240 to 250, 250 to 260, 260 to 270, and 270 to 280. And so it all matters. But like going from 120 to 140 like never matters, which is so sad for Iron Hands. And so people just don't run Future Booster Energy Capsule, but it is a good card. It's good in with Iron Jugulus. I mean, it's necessary essentially, and then it's also okay. It's necessary for Iron Jugulus's second attack. It's good on. It's not that good in the first attack, but It's a very good tool, is what I'm saying. So it's going to go in S tier. I think it's pretty clear S tier with the new stuff coming as well. I think it's a really great addition to future decks. Professor Terra Scenario doesn't have like any synergy with future Pokemon essentially at all. Sure, there's like the switching element, and this is kind of like a switch, but it's not like really a switch. It's kind of healing. Healing's not really an aspect here because you're not getting a lot of health. That would fit more so in the ancient. Honestly, I think this card would fit more in the ancient section. I guess I'll pop it in like B tier as it's a decent card. I'm gonna put in yeah, I'll put it in B. It's a good card, but it has almost no synergy with future Pokemon, or at least very little. Um, like trying to think of ways where it's like good, but I guess it's kind of a switch. But that being said, it's a pretty decent card, so I think like putting it lower than B just doesn't feel right. So it's fine. Then we have Cryptomaniac's Deciphering coming in the next main set. And where is it? It is down here. I'm looking at Justin Basil's website as well for these images. How are these sorted? They are sorted in a weird way. Cryptomaniac's Deciphering, which may not be the final name, it probably isn't, but search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle your deck, put those on top. So that's pretty good. It's the same thing as Mallow. It is future, but that doesn't really matter. It has some synergy with the Iron Treads. No, Iron Thorns. Yeah, the Iron Thorns, which we'll talk about. But it's bad, so it doesn't really matter. It's okay. The Iron Thorns is bad. Cryptomaniac's Deciphering is not. I'm going to give this an A. I think it's potentially a very powerful supporter. It doesn't have a ton of future synergy. Actually, no, I'm going to put it in B. I feel like I can't put it in A when Taro's scenario is in B because they both don't have much synergy with future. They have very little. In fact, Professor Taro's scenario might have more. Cryptomaniac's Deciphering has synergy, as I said, with Iron Thorns. Whatever. The one that's Tyranitar, but I think it's Iron Thorns. It's synergy with that, but that's it. It has very direct synergy with it, and arguably good synergy with it, but I don't know. I think the card's good though. It allows you to stack some stuff. I might talk about it and how it like helps stuff. It's really good with Curlia. It actually will. It is important for Gardevoir keeping that deck alive. I think. I think it will allow Gardevoir to stay alive. It isn't the push and ease over the edge. Potentially, I don't actually know. I don't play Gardevoir. I didn't play Gardevoir before really, but I do believe it will keep Gardevoir afloat. It will need to change, but it'll still be decent. And anyway, it's not that much futury. Next, we have the Iron Treads EX, which I kept saying by accident, which has its. I honestly don't remember. Oh, okay. So Metal Colorless 150. You need to discard the tool, the Future Booster Energy Capsule from it. If you do during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 150 less, which is really nice, really interesting. I actually didn't realize this had synergy with Taro's scenario. Well, it's not great synergy because you're going to now be discarding a bunch of energies, which is bad. There's not really a way to move it. I mean, yeah, I was going to say Bronzong. There is Bronzong that will rotate. So this is coming in Paldean Fates, this Iron Treads EX. So you will have that with Bronzong, which will be an option. It's not like a great option, but it's not an awful option. I don't think the card's very good. Long story short, I'm gonna put it in C. It doesn't have a lot of synergy. It's not an awful card. C is not like awful, but it's not great either. And as you can see, I do generally think the future cards are better than the ancient ones. I've said that in the past. Yeah, I still believe it's true. And we also have a bunch of single prizers, and these are bad. That's how it was for the ancient ones. That's how it is for the future ones. We have, let's see, so we have Iron Hands. It's not very good. I guess it has an attack that can do 162 of your EX, which is okay. Um, Still pretty bad. Like I'd rather use Iron Jugulus because it's more versatile and it's colorless. I mean, potentially you do have some value out of Iron Hands here, but I think it's very little to none because at the end of the day, you could do it with it. You're doing, admittedly, probably a 2-prizer. Well, no, you can do this with Snorlax. Yeah, this goes bad. Essentially no value. It's a minor value with like you could pair it if you're playing Iron Hands EX and then you're playing Future Booster Energy Capsule. And then you're also playing Electric Generator. Potentially you have some minor value out of it, but like not a lot. I feel like the card's still pretty bad. It's not awful or unplayable. It's borderline unplayable. It's not great. Iron Thorns, this one, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and then it does 70 for each future card you find there, then like discard those and then put the others back. This card's obviously bad. It's gonna go in F. I hate like I actually don't hate these cards are not fun to play either in my opinion. You don't think when you play the cards. You have all these future cards, and they're like not gonna get you any value either. Except you're gonna like start them. You're like, oh, I started. I should probably play 4 Iron Bundle, 4 Iron Valiant, and 4 Future Booster Energy Capsule, and 4 Cryptomaniacs Deciphering, and 4 Techno Radar, and 4 Professor Terra Scenario. But these are like generally cards you don't ever want to play. It's just bad. It's obviously not going to set up very well. It's honestly super hard to pay the attack because we are going to see Flappy rotating. We will also see um, the like I don't know Raihan. Yeah, Raihan's rotating, which is bad. Your HP is I think like 140. Your 140, which is I mean it's okay, but it's not that good. And obviously you're discarding cards from your deck. You're not discarding like the quote good cards. The ones that aren't the future cards, but it's not good, right? It's obviously not good. Next up, we got ourselves Iron Valiant. It does 20 to active and 20 on your opponent's bench, then 120 for 3. I think this card's really cool. For me, it's like it would be like a cool, perfect theme deck Pokemon. That being said, it's also like bad. There's not really any reason to play this ever. I could like there are some. So we'll talk about Iron Crown EX, which is really good, but at the end of the day, like don't play bad cards. Obviously, I'm the type of person who doesn't believe in playing like a bad card is bad. It's not like because some people. So I'm someone who thinks that a lot of cards are good, but that bad cards aren't. Like you shouldn't play bad cards in decks. So, and I think this is a bad card. I don't think anyone's really gonna debate me and say that it's like a good card. In standard at least, probably not in other forms either, but certainly not standard. Um, yeah, and yeah, this is for standard. In case you're wondering, Iron Jugulus is good in GLC, although realistically, this tier list also probably stands for GLC more or less. Anyway, we have this new Iron Jugulus. Yeah, well, okay, obviously not the. Anyway, I mean sidetracked. Iron Jugulus here, which does I think it does 110 for 3 if it's in the active and is damaged by your opponent's active or by damage from an attack for your opponent's Pokemon. You do 30 to them in retaliation. Did I move a card? I moved that. There we go. This is bad. I guess it's better than Iron Thorns and Iron Valiant because is it? It's colorless. No, this card is pretty bad. These all belong in F. I'll move. I could move Iron Thorns up. It's bad, but it potentially. I mean, we can like one shot everything as a basic for one turn, like 2 energy, which is good. It's a bad card. It is a bad card, but it is a funny card with some potential. I think Iron Thorns is probably the one that's most that people are gonna play. People are gonna like Little Dark Fears can make an Iron Thorns deck and probably like lose, or you might like play against someone who like bricks badly and plays badly and he'll just like win. But Iron Thorns isn't good, but I think it has, but like theoretically has potential. I suppose there's some more weird world in which some like crazy good cards would get printed. Like crazy niche, but crazy good cards could get printed and it would be good. But let's be honest, that's not gonna happen. I think D versus F isn't a huge deal, but I think Iron Thorns squeaks its way into D. It's better than Iron Valiant and Iron Jugulus, which you essentially would never want to play. I mean, I have played cards like them, but they're not good. And we have Kidon EX. Kidon EX is a dragon type. It needs nope, Kidon EX. There we go. Wrong, I said the wrong one. But dragon type, lightning, psychic energies. So for 2, one of each, you do 60, but it does if your opponent's active already has damage, it does 160. This is very easy to do. I mean, not like super easy, but it's not free, but it's pretty easy because you can just use Iron Valiant EX and like switch that in and then pre-retreat out or something like that. And then you're hitting 160. If you have the tool, you're hitting 180. Of course, they already have 20 on them, so it's 200, potentially 220. This is not super easy to power up, which is the problem. I think in a Lost Zone, though, it is power upable. Is that a word? I don't know. But so yeah, if you ping them once with Iron Valiant, so then it's 160. That's 180. And then if you have 40 more, you're one-shotting basic EXs or basic basic EXs, basic Vs, stuff like that. Not all of them, but a decent chunk. And then if you hit 20 more than that, you're one-shotting essentially all the basic 2 prizers. So I'm assuming they don't have like Ancient Booster, Ancient Capsule, or stuff. There are different scenarios, but like then you're hitting. What was I saying? You're hitting 60. what 160, 180. Yeah, that's doable. We'll talk about how that is doable, but with like the tool, and then there's some ways to boosting 20 more, so you could do like another Iron Valiant. So like 2 energy, one-shotting a like a two prizer is very good. Generally, it's 3 energy, or more with like something like Raging Bolt, Chim-Pow, stuff like that. But generally, like 2 energy, one-shotting two prizes is not it's not super rare. Like you do have Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, which kind of do that, but they also have their downsides of the fact that they often don't do that because both people need a full bench, and if your opponent's playing that, you probably won't set up full bench. So Rhydon's pretty good, but it is a little awkward for that attack, and then second attack, just as a straight 220. As I said, you can buff future damage. Actually, this could get pushed up to one-shotting like Giratina V-Star or some 280 HP Pokemon. But as I said, also 220 is a good damage amount to hit. So this is decent. I'm gonna put. It's not that insane though. I'm talking about like all these good combos, but they're kind of awkward to use. I think it's still pretty clearly in B tier. I feel like that's pretty obviously where it belongs. It's not like super good, super broken, because even when you do some more complicated combos, you're not getting like absurd value for it, but you're getting good value if you pull off combos. With the first attack and the second attack is just a mediocre value attack. We've seen stuff like Roaring Moon, Walking Wake, Kidon EX. They actually all hit more, but they are more awkward in my opinion as well. This I think you power up with the Lost Zone. I mean, you could power the other ones up in the Lost Zone as well, but they don't have the versatility. Maybe I'm just favoring Future too much. But I do believe this card is pretty decent. You could no, I was gonna say you could do it in Regidrake, but no, don't do that. Then next up we have Iron Leaves. Iron Leaves is grass, and in the fashion of being a grass Pokemon, it's bad. Rapid Veneer. Once you turn, when you play as Pokemon, you can like switch into the active and like accelerate energy to it. We've seen stuff like this in the past with, I think like Glaring, I think Articuno GX was similar. I don't know. There have been Pokemon with similar abilities, certainly, though. It's a good ability, but Grass is bad. It hits 180 for 3 as well. So you could do some weird, wacky combos where you like Thorn and do some funny stuff. But at the end of the day, those combos are bad. So Iron Leaves is, I mean, it's not good. It's not complete trash. I mean, Grass is arguably a good weakness to hit. It's kind of like viewed as a good weakness to hit, but at the same time, it's a good weakness to hit because things aren't hitting it. So there are like Grass hits weakness on Roaring Moon and Charizard, and Charizard's good, and Roaring Moon's also good. But at the same time, it's obviously an issue that it doesn't hit very much, and you can buff damage, but it's not good. So yeah, and let's see. This is gonna end up in D. No, it'll be in C. I think it has some potential, but it's not great potential. I mean, it is a grass, um, which is good, and it's also bad. Next up, we got ourselves the track in. What's this called? Iron and Boulder. Okay, so Pulse Rack 60 for 2, and if it's damaged, my attack next turn put 8 on the defending Pokemon. This is okay. 140 is like okay, but not that good. There's also split across two things. So if you're looking at a straight 140, that's not great, but not awful. And then if you look at it as like, let's say like you KO like Sableye, but you don't with the second effect because it's not going to trigger. You don't KO Cramorant. I don't know. I don't think this is a particularly good card. I would probably put in. I'll put in B. I mean, I think it is playable. Let's see. I'll put in C. I guess C is probably where it belongs. I mean, it does hit like okay damn. Oh, and the second tax was it's like 200 for 3 and discard 2 from it, which isn't that good. It's not like unusable. I mean, it's actually very similar to Iron Valley, which is S, but it's worse. Its typing is arguably better, but like, well, its typing in terms of weakness is better, but its typing in terms of powering it up is probably worse. I mean, no, it's definitely worse. Psychic has like the best energy acceleration in the game, so yeah, this is not great. It's not unplayably bad or anything, but not that interesting. Lastly, though, we have Iron Crown EX. For those of you who don't know, Iron Crown EX, in my opinion, is by far the best card from the set. And so obviously it's going in S tier. Oh wow, no A tiers. Well, no, one A tier. But yeah, this guy's like super good. I'll get to it. So first of all, Cobalt Command, your future Pokemon attacks, except Iron Crown EX, which doesn't really matter that much. It matters a tiny bit, but it's fine. But your attacks do 20 more to your opponent's active Pokemon. And you can stack this. So you could get 4 in the bench and hit 80 more. That's like kind of silly because you're not doing that. You could, but now you've used up 4 bench spots, which is bad. But you could get 2. You could push for 3. That's not crazy. But certainly 2 is not crazy at all. It's very doable. And getting 1 is honestly like you should always have 1 if you're running a future deck. Oh, not every future. As I said, like it doesn't hit the breakpoints for Iron Hands, but like just because Iron Hands is like so far from the breakpoints, potentially you get some value out of this with Iron Hands, but mostly EX. But most of this is here for like Iron Valiant EX, with Rhydon EX as well, which I mentioned earlier. If you get like an extra 20 or maybe 40, then you get like insane value. Iron Crown EX's boost plus Future Boost Energy Capsules boost puts you up like much. It gets you to like extra 40 pretty easily, especially with Arvin being a pretty good tool right now. Honestly, I think Arvin is potentially. It might become like the main supporter. No, that's kind of silly. No, it's not going to be the main. Oh yeah, I don't think it can. I'm looking at like Future Booster Energy, or not Future. Well, Future Booster Energy Capsule is good, but also when the TMs and you have TM Turbo Energized, which I think could be good, but it probably won't be. But anyway, so you have Iron Crown EX, but then you have also Twin Chatels, which is 50 for Psychic Colors, which isn't that bad, but not super payable. Especially because you can't really use double turbo. But again, Psychic, best energy acceleration in the game, arguably, but probably putting us in Lost Zone, where it doesn't really matter what type you are. Though being Psychic is good because Sableye, we do 50 to your opponent's Pokemon, not affected by weakness resistance or affects some of those Pokemon. So you can just hit Manaphy or just like ignore Manaphy with his attack, which is obviously really good. Because Manaphy is annoying, so you can just hit through that, which is really good. Um, it's not like super game breaking in that aspect, but 20 more damage is really nice. You have this attack. I think Lost Zone with Iron Valiant is going to be super good. And Iron Crown, so you're going to have Iron Valiant, Iron Crown, potentially Iron Jugulus, potentially Iron Hands, potentially Iron Bundle, potentially Koraidon EX. Yeah, I think the deck's going to be very good. I do believe. I thought it was going to be really good with Iron Valiant EX, and I stand by that, but I think um, with the new stuff, it's going to be super insane. And I think Lawson's not getting hurt much by rotation. You do lose Battle VIP Pass, which is good, but like, I don't know. I think it's not. I think people think Battle VIP Pass is better than it is. It is good. But it's honestly not like that important for Lawson either. Because you get, I mean, okay, you need, actually, no, it is. Well, I was gonna say because you can have you have the Techno Radar, but then that doesn't get like lost on stuff. So you just have Nest Balls. You could play Ultra Balls, but that doesn't feel as good. Main benefit is obviously that you have um I've forgotten the name. Or you can have like Level Ball or Fog Crystal, but those are also both rotating, so that's actually a bit awkward. But like I don't think Battle VIP Best in itself is massive, but for this deck, but like losing all those is kind of a pain. Um, I think the last one is still gonna be really good. I mean, you have 4 Nest Ball and then you have 4 Ultra Ball if you need, and you have Master Ball. Master Ball isn't that good, but it's a usable card. Anyway, here's my tier list of how good the cards are within the future package. For the future package, but also if they're good in their own, they'll get benefits from that. Yeah, I think Iron Valiant and Iron Crown are really good. Future Boost Energy Capsule is obviously good, and then there are a bunch of decent ones. A bunch of bad cards coming out in the next set, like main set and mini set as well. But overall, I'm looking forward to them coming out. I do believe they're going to be super fun and pretty competitively good. I think Iron Crown is absurd, absurdly good. I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty busted. But anyway, we'll see. Time will tell. Oh, Cryptomaniac's Deciphering, pretty cool card as well. But I'm going to talk about that in a future video. See what I did there. But anyway, subscribe if you enjoyed. Check out other videos on my channel as well where I talk about these types of cards. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.